The fight for civil rights reached its most visible point probably in the 50s and 60s with a couple of the high water marks, the signing of the Civil Rights and Voting Rights Acts in 1964 and 65. But just because bills were signed didn't mean the problems and challenges just went away. Pam Gaskin knows from that experience and has spent her life helping to drop barriers to voting. Good morning, Pam. Good to see you.
Good morning.
I know that the Voting Rights Act was passed when you were a freshman at UT.
Yes.
How had things been before the act was passed and immediately after that?
Okay. Well, before, of course, in Texas, African Americans did not have the right to vote unless you paid the poll tax, which was a financial burden. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've seen receipts and I've looked for some, and I know I've got them somewhere. Mm-hmm. $2, $3 for poll tax. Well, think about it, in the 40s when a loaf of bread was 19 cents. $2 was a lot of money. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So if you wanted to vote, you paid poll tax. A lot of folks just didn't vote. Mm-hmm. Then in 1965, when the Voting Rights Act was passed, of course it didn't go into effect in Texas until 1966. Mm-hmm. Now, I was 18 at the time, so back then you couldn't vote until you were 21. However, I helped register people to vote in Austin, Texas in 1966. And
you've been doing it ever since.
Yes.
And so now you're very much involved with the League of Women Voters. Tell me about your role with that organization and why it's so important. It's a nonpartisan organization, mm-hmm. why it matters that that organization is doing what it's doing and why you're involved.
Because our democracy works best when everyone who can vote does vote. That makes true representative government. Mm-hmm. So the League, being nonpartisan, we are looking to register and educate people to vote. Now, I don't speak for the League. I'm a member of the League, and I can speak for my work. This is an organization that is open, welcoming, and you can find your spot. I worked on the voter guide, which people still rely on. I helped develop questions for candidates. I've done voter registration. I've served on the board of directors of the Houston League. So I've been active in the League for 25 years.
And before then you were active doing other things before you got in the League. So
absolutely. With my sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha. Mm-hmm. And just because I'm me and I'm just a busybody and I'm always looking for something to do, so I went to the county and I got deputized as a voter registrar. And my friend Rose and I would set up a card table outside of Gerland's grocery store in Missouri City and register voters.
And now I know one of the things you've been quite outspoken about recently is a new law concerning mail ballots. It's been a challenge in some places, potential harm it could cause. What has been your personal experience with it, and what concerns do you have about what others may go through?
Well, my personal experience is not very nice. I had to fill out an application for a mail-in ballot 3 times. I was rejected twice. The first time because the county had posted the wrong form, and I pulled down the wrong form. Got a letter that said, well, through no fault of yours. And I talked to the clerk. I filled out the correct form, sent it in, got rejected because I didn't put the form of ID on my application for mail-in ballot that I had put on my application to register to vote 46 years ago.
Wow. As somebody who's been involved with voting as much as you have, if you had that kind of problem, that's a red flag about what others may go through at this point.
Yes, it is.
Some of the folks who put the law in effect said, quite frankly, this is just a new law, and it's just a matter of people getting used to it. Mm-hmm. You say what?
I say that this new law is going to cause people not to vote. Everyone is not persistent, and they look and say, well, I got rejected, so maybe it's not meant for me to vote today. Mm-hmm. In this election, and they won't vote. In Texas, there's a limited class of people that can vote early. 65 and over, disabled, incarcerated, or out of the county for the duration of the voting period. Mm-hmm. Most of the people who vote early are disabled and 65 and over. Mm-hmm. You wake up, you're 85 years old, you wake up, you got arthritis, you got other health challenges, you get a letter in the mail that says your early voting ballot was rejected, what are you going to do? You may just decide, you know, hey, I'm going to give this a pass because I don't feel like dealing with this today.
What's your optimism going forward for what you're doing, not only for that issue, but for other issues related to voting rights?
Well, I have to stay positive, because if I can just encourage one person to vote, and I'm going to ask you afterwards, have you voted? And, and give you a copy of the voter guide.
That's good. That's good.
But if I can encourage one person to change their mind, who said I'm not voting, I get that a lot with young people. They say, well, I'm not political. I say, well, you know, politics is practiced by politicians who make policy, and policy affects your everyday life. So vote for yourself. Vote for yourself.
I like that. And I'll tell you what my voting status is when we get done.
All right.
Pam Gaskin, thank you for what you do. Good luck at the League of Women Voters. We look forward to seeing you back here March 1st.
March 1st, I'll be here with the League answering phone calls on Election Day.
Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.